the capacity of how many victims were involved is further tragic, because what we understand today that she's deemed, the perpetrator, the offender, was deemed a serial killer. And we find that absolutely unusual when it comes to females. I think it's approximately 8% that we deem as serial killers. In hindsight, when you look back, I first thought about this when I saw this being aired, was wondering, why did it exist for so long? It was over this particular 12-month period or so. And for how long? Why wasn't this, shall we say, investigated beforehand? Or maybe it was. But I think more importantly, in the work that I do, and in relation possibly to this particular criminal behavior, is trying to understand the woman, the perpetrator that committed these horrific crimes. It's my role, it's usually about going back, Ros, and talking to the women, learning more about them, their childhood, their pathway to such criminality. And I think that's where we have to start with a woman such as Lucy.
There have been various theories put forward during the trial as to why Lucy Letby did what she did, among them the need to play God, the thrill of seeing other medical staff's emergency response to what she had done. You believe her motives would be attached to what happened to her when she was younger?
Well, I can't say that, but I would certainly consider starting there and trying to understand even later on in her life, and whilst she was nursing, what was her behaviour? What was her life? Now, that's not to say that she didn't, to many of us, serve or have a very happy-go-lucky, lucky lifestyle, a very pleasant lifestyle, in a great career. But there always something that's underlying. Now, I know she called herself evil, or as we would say, her behaviour was evil. Absolutely. We could also argue, when we further investigate, we could also argue, was there any mental health issues or problems leading up to the criminality or the crimes themselves? Or, as I said, was there something a long time ago that was within her that no one ever acknowledged? Now, and I will say this, that sometimes you have to consider, in this instance, was this a thrill kill? I'm able to get away with more and more, much, shall we say, the understanding of the plight of a serial killer. It's like catch me if you can. And I don't use that term very loosely, and I don't wish to sound that way or disrespectful. But serial killers, it's usually until we are caught. And in this sense, too, I found it's very interesting because apparently or allegedly there was no remorse shown, or except saying that I'm evil, I did that. Possibly feeling more sad and sorry for herself than for the victims or the victims' families.
And there is this need to know why, isn't there?
Yes.
She was deemed fit enough to stand trial, but is it correct, as you've been suggesting in part, to think that she must have been mentally ill to carry out these crimes?
We have to consider that. Again, I'm not privy to the information, but we must consider or start with that. And I also think we have to be wary of how we use the term mental illness, because that's a universal term, or it's used as an umbrella to distinguish other, shall we say, behaviours. In this case, there's a possibility, maybe it could have been, when we look at the overarching umbrella of mental illness, maybe it could have been borderline personality. Maybe, but we need to literally go back, learn from her, talk to her, understand her, in order to understand that there be no more cases like this, or what are the red flags or the signals, particularly in the nursing realm, that we need to associate with behaviour of others around us. So we can use the term broadly mental illness, but I think we have to dig deeper and be more specific here.